Hello. Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello. Hi, welcome. We're going to start our B&W meeting on time at 6:30. My name is Ann Ruby. It's my privilege to be chairman of this group. And thank you all for coming out tonight. It's wonderful to see you all. We have pizza over there, mandarin oranges, Entenmann's cookies, and water. So please help yourself. So let's see. First, we're going to have our code and police reports. So we're going to have a code report from Mark Johnson. No, is that right?
I want to see if
Yeah, no, I get her name wrong too.
It's all right.
No, what is your?
we were joking. We're both Joneses.
Mark Jones. Okay, sorry, Mark Jones. Thank you. I'm glad you laughed.
Oh, of course. I don't really have a lot to tell you this evening. We are starting the first of the year. We're going to be doing a initiative over on A1A from city property north and south. We've got 4 officers inspectors who are going to be working that area, trying to see if we can bring that area all up to compliance. It'll probably take us a month, but we'll be spending a lot of time walking up and down Atlantic, hopefully seeing if we can improve some of the quality of those properties. Otherwise, I think you're hopefully all aware of the inspectors. There's 2 that work on the north side here at Beachside, that Mariah Quinn, who does the residential work, and John Stenson, who does the commercial properties. So, any questions? As I said, my report was going to be fairly short. Yes?
Is there anything, is people that live here on the beach side that we can do to help with any of that?
The best thing to do is if you have properties that you feel need some tender loving care, please you send something in through either the C-Click Fix or the IMS portal on in the city's webpage. We always appreciate help, and you can also go into like IMS when you go into the city's directory, and you can look up an address, and all of our information is face forward, so you can look and see if a property has a violation. You can see what the status is of it, if there's any photos, whether it's going to a hearing or whether it's come into compliance. So all that information is available. All of it is public knowledge. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Will you include the county lots, the parking lots, next to like the Hard Rock and just south of that?
Yes, we are going to be addressing those. That is an issue that we will be looking at. Those, the Hilton's lot, some of that type of property, making sure that they're being maintained, because there are some areas that need improvement. That's the whole gist. We want to really see if we can spruce up A1A. Yes.
How long can one of the big garbage containers be kept on a property without being?
You mean
once it's
like
full for a construction?
Yeah, 20 or 30 yarder dumpster.
Yeah.
That is really held up by the permitting department. They're the ones who allow those during construction, and they should be cleared fairly soon after construction is finished. I know some contractors let them go as full as they can. We don't really regulate that because that's through the building department permitting.
Okay.
All right. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
As a last thing, thank you guys in advance for all your work. We appreciate
Well, thank you.
helping us out on Beachside.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mark Jones. And now, Police Captain Trish Jones. Got it right this time.
Yes. I'll answer. Good evening. So normally I stand up here and tell you guys some stats that probably mean nothing to you. So I figured I would kind of explain how we operate at the police department and how you guys can help us. So typically I stand up here and I read from our ComStat report. So this is basically our report card. This is how we measure our success at the police department. And not that nothing else matters, but this is what we report to the FBI. So this is what's considered our Part 1 crimes. So those are like the major crimes, your homicides, your sex bats, your aggravated assaults. Those are all Part 1 crimes that we are required to report to the FBI. That doesn't mean that other crimes that are not Part 1 crimes are not important to us. So look at this as a report card. So these are like our major topics that we have to pass, and then think of like our Part 2 crimes or our quality of life are more of like our behavior. How are we operating? Are we talking too much in class? Some areas we are, right? We have too many quality of life issues that maybe we need to address better. So just because I read up here and tell you guys that we're doing really well on the Beachside with our Part 1 crimes doesn't mean that we don't care about the other issues that you guys are seeing, and does not discount what you're seeing is a true issue over here on the Beachside. So please understand that just because I'm telling you that everything's great over here, according to our report card, that we are not discounting what you're seeing or what you're feeling in your neighborhoods. So just wanted to throw that out there. A lot of times you don't hear the quality of life issues that we address because they're not on here, but our officers are out there and they are responding to the calls for service. They are handling them as best they can. Our hands are still tied a little bit when it comes to some of the homeless issues and the panhandling. We are still under the federal injunction. Everybody has submitted all of our arguments at this point, and we're waiting for the judge to give us a ruling. It's probably gonna be more like February, hopefully the earliest or the latest, but we can't rush the judge. The judge gives us a response when they get a response. Doesn't mean it's gonna be done and over at that point. It could still continue. We can still contest it, but obviously the police department stance, we need some help. We need some tools. We need to be able to do something. So I know a lot of people unfortunately feel bad for the homeless. There are resources in this county that they can get help if they choose to do so. We are one of the only cities that has one of our own shelters, the First Step Shelter, that has resources to give them if they follow the rules and do what they're supposed to. Again, that's on them, right? So unfortunately, a lot of the homeless population, they suffer from mental health, addiction issues, and they don't want to follow the rules to get into the First Step. That's not our fault, unfortunately, right? But what are we gonna do with them? So unfortunately, the only other tool we have is to arrest them because they don't wanna follow the rules. We can't just keep shooing them along because what's gonna happen, they're gonna come back because this is where the resources are, right? People are feeding them, people are giving them the money. Think of it like a fishing hole. You go fishing, you're gonna find where the fish are biting, right? The homeless are the same way. They're gonna go to the intersection that people are giving them money. So I know a lot of people feel bad and they don't wanna call the police when they're seeing these things. I need you to please do that. That's the only way that we can address it, is to make an arrest when we can. Now, there's a time and place when we can make an arrest. Our hands are tied when it comes to them soliciting and standing out on the side of the road. It is not an arrestable offense. We're gonna have to get creative and work with legal once we get the ruling to see what we can do, because now they're holding religious signs. That's a battle that we're gonna take on. But as far as them sitting there panhandling, they are not doing anything that we can make an arrest. We can issue a citation, doesn't do anything. Most of them don't have a driver's license, they don't pay the ticket, nothing really unfortunately happens. So that's kind of a battle we've been dealing with for a while. As far as camping is very different. They actually have to have something over them, and like a tent, a blanket sometimes will work, but them laying out on the sidewalk and just laying there sleeping, we can't make an arrest. We have to offer them the shelter and resources, but we cannot make an arrest. So we're doing what we can. Same thing of them blocking the sidewalk. We have to give them a warning. Sir, I need you to move. They move 2 feet, they take over the sidewalk. Sir, I need you to move. It just goes down the road. So that's frustrating on the officer's part, right? Because they want to get there, they want to solve y'all's problems. And unfortunately, sometimes they can't. And I'm not saying we're perfect. Sometimes they do respond to the calls and they should have done something. I need to know about that. If they're not doing what they can do, we need to fix that. But we have trained our officers in the last couple of weeks. We need to take action. There is a zero tolerance when it comes to that, because these are the issues of the Beachside, unfortunately. These are the quality of life issues that we see. We want our tourists to come here and enjoy our beach. We want our residents to feel safe, and this is a true complaint and true issue that you all are dealing with. So if there's an instance that you do have that maybe you don't think was handled properly, I will leave some cards. Email me. Let me look at the incident. Let me make sure we're doing what we're supposed to, and maybe educate the officer if they didn't. What else was I going to tell you?
You're doing a great job on the streamline.
Thank you. I'm gonna contradict a little bit what code told you. And this is why. So the C-click fix is great for every other department except for us. So we get a ton of them, but what we get is pictures, which is awesome, but now we have a time delay because it's not a dispatch center. So by the time somebody logs in the next day, or even if it's over the weekend, that person standing on the corner is gone and we close it out. I need you to please call the non-emergency number to dispatch and report this when it is occurring so the officers can come out and address it. The number for dispatch, 386-248-1777. They will dispatch an officer to the location to deal with it real time. That is the only way that they can deal with it, because after the fact, they can't do anything. Yeah, the picture's great. We know that they were out there doing it, but we can't enforce anything. So those C-click fix tickets, they're great for other departments. They're great for if you want to give us a tip that maybe you think narcotics is being sold out of a house, but something that is occurring real time, please call the dispatch center. Please don't put it on the portal because we don't get it right away.
What about the homeless or the beggars in the median?
The only thing we can do is issue them a state citation, and unfortunately they're not going to pay it. Doesn't really seem a penalty to them, and the officers are frustrated. It's like, why am I going to go issue a ticket and nothing happens?
So you can't shove them along? I'm afraid
We can tell them that they can't stand in the middle of the road because technically they can't. They'll move to the side of the road. So as long as they're not in the center median, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, I worry about the median.
Center median
Yes.
on Mason Avenue and center median at Bevel and Nova.
Yep, they're there every day.
But Bevel and Nova, there's a guy that actually steps out into the street and he
Yep.
actually stays there and walks in the street.
Yep, and we warn them, and a lot of times if we watch them and we see them do it again, we can arrest them for violating the police order. But sometimes the officers don't have that time to sit there and watch them and then take them to jail. Our bike units do it pretty frequent. They're making good arrests off of that, but again, it takes time. And unfortunately with calls for service, and we are 20 positions short. So the officers are doing the best they can, but a lot of times the officers will look and say it's just a citation, doesn't do anything. It needs to be an arrestable offense, but we're not there yet.
Are we in trouble if we hit them when they fall into the car?
Yes.
Can't give you legal advice.
You get to pay.
I will caution you though, when you deal with the homeless, it's not what it was 10 years ago. The homeless, they're argumentative, they're confrontational, some of them can be violent because they have mental health and alcohol, drugs. It used to be in the days we would tell them, hey, go somewhere else. They argue with the officers. So I would be cautious and tell you, if you don't have to confront them or engage with them, I would not. Because they
If
are...
they're kind of like this, it's like, don't fall in front of me, please.
Yeah, I agree. Don't touch my car, you know? I agree. So, hopefully in February something will be, if it is February, hopefully the ruling will be in our favor and we can move forward with more action. So I know a lot of people feel bad for the homeless, but we need to be able to make these arrests because they're not gonna go away, unfortunately. There are resources in this city and this county that they choose not to take advantage of.
So there was a discussion a couple of commission meetings ago about doing special details, like the 20 random hours,
On Beach Street.
well, on Beach Street, but now also starting to do it in the Main Street corridor.
We
Is
have a
that-
meeting next week
Okay.
to finalize the CRAs. So what she's talking about is the 2 CRAs on the beach side. There's one on Beach Street and there's one on the Main Street area that are looking at hiring detail officers to address a lot of the complaints with the quality of life issues specific to that area. They will stay in the CRA areas because that's who's paying for them. But the officers will either be on foot or on a bike, but they're not going to be sitting in their car in one location playing on the computer. But there is a meeting next Wednesday at 6 o'clock for the Beachside CRA to talk about whether they will approve a detail as well.
Okay, thank you.
The phone number again, please.
386-248-1777.
You're gonna get an AI generated,
That's how they,
yeah, and it's horrible to work through.
unfortunately, we have no control over it. It is frustrating, but that is the non-emergency number. I would caution you, don't use 911 unless it's an emergency. Now, if you're having an altercation with a homeless person, I would say that's an emergency.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Two things. One, there's a meeting Tuesday evening on the CRA.
Yeah, that's on the agenda.
Yeah, but you mentioned Wednesday,
No.
but we should also go Tuesday.
Hang
Because
on.
that's when they're gonna talk about
No, but
all
I think
kinds of
you-
things on the
Your
CRA.
Wednesday is an internal meeting.
I don't
Or are you
think
talking about
so.
Wednesday.
You're talking about the Beachside Neighborhood
CRA.
Watch meeting.
Meeting, the other one is about the CRA plural.
You're not gonna decide anything.
No, the meeting I'm talking about is Wednesday, December 10th at 6 p.m.
Okay, so that's the
Redevelopment board
Beachside CRA. Okay, the city commission is having a meeting on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm not invited to that. That is not on my agenda. My meeting that I'm talking about and what they're hopefully going to do is invite Beachside residents and merchants so that they can have input of the detail, is what I was told by the CRA administrator.
There's two.
Yeah, no, the meeting I'm talking about is Wednesday.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
I know.
don't confuse me.
I've been going for 40 years, I know.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to let people know there's an additional meeting on Tuesday as well.
okay.
Now,
If you read
secondly,
the agenda,
on the-
it's on the agenda.
Right. In the, probably have, or I have in the core area, because I'm literally in the core area. A1A, they literally take up the sidewalk. Right across from the cemetery, they literally 40 feet every inch. They do the same thing under the bridge at Silver Beach. You can't walk, and people, our tourists have to go into the street to get around them.
Right.
So I call on those.
Good.
That kosher.
Yes, please keep calling. So I know a lot of people say, I don't want to waste police resources. You are not. These are our problems on the beach side. They are not dealing with the Part 1 crimes that the other district is, which we're very happy about. But these are the calls for service and the concerns of the residents that, yes, please call. We're not wasting our time. They should be handling them. In the event you come across something that you don't think was handled properly, send me an email, let me look at it.
Okay.
What was the number again?
386-248-1777.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have an old number.
So, I know people can ask for money, they can panhandle. Is there anything as a car where I stop, roll down my window, and I give money, and then I've had other neighbors say that they have been seeing drug deals that way?
There's nothing specific that we can do. We've had conversations of, do we really want to penalize our residents and our tourists that feel bad for somebody and think that they're helping and don't know any better?
Yes.
We've thrown it out a couple times with legal, and our chief's stance is it's really not their fault for trying to help. Maybe they just don't know, and that's why we come to y'all and tell you there are plenty of resources in this county they can take advantage of if they want. There are the churches that help, there's the First Step, they just have to follow the rules, and they're not.
Do you guys still carry that pamphlet that the Lady of Lourdes veterans put out, the one cheat sheet
I
of
don't
all the
think so.
resources?
I don't think so, but if you can get it to me, we'll pass it
I will
out.
get it to you.
Ma'am,
And what about someone who continuously comes into your yard, violating, trespassing? Can you shoot at them?
I am not giving legal advice. You're gonna have to defend that, but I can't give you legal advice. There's always circumstances of what happened and what fear you have, but that ultimately is up to the state attorney. That is not up to
That's
us.
up to the who?
The state attorney,
Oh.
the state attorney. And it's gonna depend on the circumstances, so I can't blanketly tell you, yes, it's okay. Like, there's a lot that, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that.
That's even questionable. I will say that I've seen the First Step work. When it first opened, my housekeeper and her girlfriend were homeless at the time. They'd become homeless. And I was working for Reed Berger, and I talked to him, and he got them in there. I got them an apartment, a condo, actually above my own. And I got them in, and I took some talking to get him to take them, but the Section 8 took them. And they've gotten completely off of all of that, and they're doing fairly well.
Yep.
One you might want to pray for, she's got a...
The program does work if they wanna be committed to it, and I'm sure the director would come out and speak to you guys if you guys had specific questions for the
I think they
First
were
Step,
the
but they have resources.
Yeah, they think they were the first graduates, but they speak very highly of it.
Yes.
They're not junkies or anything, they're
Right.
just scattered, they're not real smart, they can't
Yep.
organize stuff sometimes, and it helped them. So,
Yeah.
You know, they've got it together a lot better.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Is it possible to apply pressure to, I mean, like, as citizens, to the judge, as in like writing letters, not pressure, but I'm saying pressure as in presence, to say, hey,
It's in federal court, so they don't even let us go in uniform. They're very restrictive of what you can and can't do. I don't even know who the judge is, so I'm sure we could find out and you could probably write a letter, but I don't know if it's really gonna change their mind, unfortunately.
well, I don't even mean change their mind, because they probably already know what they're gonna do anyways, but
Yeah.
at least maybe put a little pressure to
I can tell you that our stance is we want a resolution, so whether it's good or bad,
Right,
we're gonna come up
exactly.
with something creative and move on.
Right,
We just
right,
need that
exactly,
resolution, but we can't rush them. I mean,
Right.
this is unfortunate how it goes in the federal side. We are just as eager as you guys are. Just give us an answer so we know how we are gonna address it moving forward.
It seems like they knocked down every good idea, the rental
We're keeping at it. I can tell you our legal advisor at the police department, she's wonderful. She is very innovative. She's looking at other agencies in big cities. Unfortunately, we're not the only ones unique to this circumstance, that she's paying attention to what everybody else is doing, and she's okay with making case law, but hopefully it's for the good.
Well, my condo board effectively used that rental certification to clean out a lot of the slumlords and the bad people.
Good
and
deal.
all that. And, well, you guys helped too, you might remember.
I hope we helped.
Yeah, actually, you and
Yeah.
Scott Lee was, I mean, he was the king, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big deal.
And I don't know if you've been coming to these meetings a long time, you know that for the past 5 years, people have been complaining about the noise at the streamline and the excessive loud music very late at night. And we finally, through Captain
Not
Jones
me, not me.
and
I have
other
to give
people.
credit to our special projects. They are
Okay,
amazing.
special projects, but she's encouraging us, if they're in violation, which they are if they're making noise after 10 p.m.,
Yeah.
it is now an arrestable offense, and we should call.
Yes.
And that is gonna improve the quality of life very much, and
Yes.
we really appreciate that, so thank you.
I can tell
Thank
you
you for
that-
the
yes,
encouragement.
yes, please keep calling, but the big addition that the chief did, I think probably in the last year, he added a special projects team. And what they do is our nuisance properties that we continually go after, they get them on the code board, they work hand in hand with code enforcement, and they've done amazing results. They're working on Euphoria now because they don't comply with anything that we do. They had a meeting yesterday, they're putting pressure on them, so we're trying to move out the problems from the city, move in merchants and businesses that wanna cooperate and wanna do what's right for the city and the community. So those two, it's Sergeant Shauna Conley and Lieutenant Bernhardt, they're amazing. So if you see them out, you know them, they are definitely the force behind everything that we're doing when it comes to the businesses and complying. So that was
thank
all of
you.
them, but all I have to do is
Thank you.
give them an address and they're on it.
Thank you,
So, yep.
much appreciated.
Thank you. Y'all have a Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you. All right, we're now gonna move on to our treasurer's report and our secretary's report, Jared Hoffbauer.
This is pretty quick, not a whole lot going on this time of year for some of these, but just give our balances. Our normal business account has an unchanged balance from last month of $631.43. Our B&W barbecue fund had a beginning balance of $2,340.14. We had it past the hat last month of $66 in donations, so we appreciate that and thank everyone for that. We did use some of that money to buy some pizza bags, so we can continue to have some hot food for you guys here. And if you haven't, there's pizzas underneath in the bag still, and being nice and hot. So that left us with a total balance in that account of $2,977.57. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, now we are actually on to Pass the Hat, which Kelly is going to do. It's past the beautiful teacup. If you'd like to donate, please, to the Bike Week Barbecue Fund, that would be awesome, much appreciated. And last month, or 2 months ago, when we collected, we donated was it $116 to Tammy and Greg, who do the grocery shopping for the Caring Fellowship on Saturdays, where they feed people, and Greg has asked me to read this thank you note from him. Our Lady of Lourdes Veterans Ministry, the volunteers who work each community breakfast, our guests and Tammy and I offer a wholehearted thank you for B&W's very generous donation. The monthly breakfast has grown from 35 meals to over 200 in a 3-year period. The community breakfast is open to all. Caring Fellowship and a great meal is always on the menu. The Veterans Ministry, Our Lady of Lourdes, would like to extend an invitation to attend our monthly breakfast as a volunteer or a guest. Again, thank you for your very generous donation, and Merry Christmas. So thank you all very much.
Time and day?
It's the third Saturday.
Third Saturday?
Third Saturday in the morning, just come here to the community room.
Like 10 o'clock?
It's approximately, if you're here at 9 o'clock, you'll be there. You'll be fine. Just, you can find that on the Lady of Lourdes website. Okay. Now, there is a city commission workshop on Tuesday of next week. It is a workshop about how they wanna set the goals for what they wanna do with Main Street. The public will not be allowed to speak, but if you go and you sit in person, it will show that you are that interested, that there's people who really care. If it's only 4 people sitting in the audience, they're less likely to take anything seriously. And so I can urge you all to go. It's gonna be it's on your agenda, which I can't read because I don't have my glasses on, 5 o'clock at City Hall next Tuesday. And I wanna thank Commissioner Strickland for his continued work with the Main Street merchants. That's been ongoing over time. And I want to thank Monica Paris too, because last night she introduced the idea of setting up a quick fix. What can we do that would get the low-hanging fruit fast? Code enforcement, planters, washing, trash emptying. So that's going to be discussed too. And so those 2 commissioners have been fairly proactive in trying to suggest concrete solutions. And although Commissioner Paris's thing did not pass last night, it was more of a procedural issue in that she wanted to vote to spend money that they weren't prepared, they didn't have adequate information about the budget. So it got bumped to this workshop where there hopefully will get the adequate information. So I urge you to go to that. And then that will be followed the next night by the Beachside Redevelopment Board meeting, which it sounds like that's where Captain Jones will be presenting. They'll be talking about the task force that they want to start. And we also have a regular B&W attendee who's not here tonight, Laura Murphy, who is the newest member of the board. So that's awesome. There are a bunch of Christmas things. They're all listed here on your agenda. I'm not gonna read them all. I do wanna shout out the Christmas parade though. That is gonna be December 13th. And for many years, Linda Smiley, our member, would get up and speak in front of the commission and say, we need to bring back the Christmas parade. And eventually it came back. So thank you, Linda. It was a great suggestion and I appreciate your persistence in that. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. The Mayor's Fitness Challenge is coming up starting January 8th. You do need to register online. There's a great quilt exhibit at YSG through the 16th of January. Those quilts are amazing, so just head on over there and see the handiwork. They're beautiful. And then Joyce has a quick announcement with Seniors versus Crime.
Okay, I'm Joyce, Seniors versus Crime through the Florida Attorney General's office. Just a couple quick things. I have these on the table back there. Shopping tips and scams for the holidays from the Attorney General's office, which has a lot of good information in there, and it has about charity scams too, which and a website you can go on to check if it's a legit charity. We have a new thing called Operation Senior Shield, and some of these are back there, through Elder Affairs, and our Florida Lieutenant Governor started this, and you can sign up online. It has the information where they will send you alerts for the latest fraud in Florida. They'll either email, text, or call you. So that's good information. That just started in November. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, also has a thing you can sign up online. Some of these are back there, where they'll send you scam tips. And of course, our little brochure, and again, about your credit, how to check your credit report. That's very important this time of year. And you can do that once a year, free. Or if you've been a victim of a scam or fraud, you can get your credit report updated. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to thank Ted, Our Lady of Lourdes, Father Phil, Hillary, and all her crew. And it's just amazing how generous they are with their space and their time for allowing us to meet here. So not only do they help the whole community, but they help us by letting us have our meeting here. So I do want to thank them every meeting. And we're gonna acknowledge our elected officials who are here. The only one I saw was Monica. She's back there running around. I don't know where she is, but she is here. And then I also wanted to thank our board members. That would be Vern and Ted and Sue and Jared and Kelly and Ken. So if you're a board member, I think the only other board members here are Jared and Kelly today, right? Hey, thank you guys. Without a full board, this meeting could not run. And now, at last, we're finally to our guest speaker, this County Councilor. I'll probably just say your name wrong too, Matt Reinhart,
That's all right. I know
District 2. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, everybody, for having me. Ann had asked me a while back if I would do a quick county update of what we're doing, and if you've been watching the news, you know we had one. And I wanted to probably start with that because I know that that question will come up as to why. Many years ago, everybody had beach driving until the federal government and the state of Florida jumped in and said no more beach driving. But our charter had already stipulated the fact that you could have beach driving. So we were grandfathered in under the condition that they would have what they called a habitat conservation plan. So the habitat conservation plan, and part of that was the incidental take permit. The incidental take permit, meaning they could take it away at any time, but several elements fall into that. There's been a big push, I would say in the last 5 years, to try to bring beach driving back to that area. I love that idea, I do. It wasn't that we were in favor of it, I love it. We don't have the magic wand at the county to be able to open it back up. So I have to trust. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express. So I have to trust what our attorneys tell us, in addition to what our state legislation has told us. They have verified the fact that what we're being told by county legal is in fact true. When they created the habitat conservation plan with the incidental take permit, it allowed us as a council, under our charter, to take away as much beach driving as we saw fit. So we can take it away, but in that there is no law to help us to bring it back. So it takes an act of state legislation to do that. So here's what happens, to give it in a tiered effect. There is a thing called customary use. Right now, those beachfront properties that are in front of the actual residence, anywhere on the beach, if you have an actual resident, go home. If you're driving by down A18, I did this myself, just to give myself a little bit more perspective, because I'm like you, I was a non-believer. So I went home and I drove around, I checked some addresses, went home and I went on to Larry Bartlett's property appraiser's website. And you know that nice little red line that is? It's not accurate, but it's pretty darn close. And if you look at those bordering properties that abate the actual beach, they actually go into the beach. That's private property. But under customary use, we're allowed to maintain it. We're allowed not maintain it. We're allowed to use it. We're allowed to utilize it for recreational purposes. So in order to take that back, the state is going to ask you a couple things. Do you have the permission and the easements from those property owners in order for us to make that and make a bill to try to create the law to give it back to the driving, to vehicles? 5 of those local residents in the area specified between Auditorium and US 92, International Speedway Boulevard, were asked. Of the 5, 4 of them said absolutely not. And we are not going to give you an easement. We're not going to do it. 1 wrote in favor of it. There were 2 more, verbal. 1 was verbal, absolutely, I'll give you. Wouldn't supply it in writing, but said absolutely. The other one verbally said absolutely not, slammed the door. We're done talking. The biggest property owner, and that's, what did we say, 5, 7 properties? There's more than that, right? The rest of the properties are owned by the city of Daytona Beach. The city of Daytona Beach had to be one of those people that we had to ask, are you in favor of supplying the easement to where we can give that back? The city of Daytona Beach was asked. The city of Daytona Beach has not responded. And I believe it was this meeting, because I watched the video, where you had the mayor, and the mayor himself is against it.
Is that because of the boardwalk
No, I can't speak for him, but I wonder, and so I love the idea, I really do. But I know that the state, and I'm not pulling your leg. I went to an event over at Halifax. Before I drove to Halifax, I got a phone call. I never hear from him that often. Chase Tremont. Chase Tremont said, Matt, I did have a conversation with Jeff Brower. I did tell him I will support it. But Jeff, you have to do one thing. You have to get the buy-in from those residents. You have to get the city of Daytona Beach on board. We have to attack the customary use issue. Those things have to happen before. Now, he did remind him of something else. I'm sorry. Can I grab my water?
Yep.
I talk so much and my mouth gets dry. He said one other thing. Anytime you create a law in Tallahassee, you have to have the Florida state legislation has to sponsor a bill, but it has to have a comparison bill in the Senate. The Senate, the Florida Senate, has 2 local representatives here for your Florida or for your Volusia delegation. Senator Tom Wright and Senator Tom Leake. By the way, neither of them are interested in taking up the matter. So you think, okay, we'll get another senator. No senator wants to because it's not their district. They're going to refer to Tom Leake and Tom Wright. So I don't want to, I'm a person that's going to give you the facts. I don't want to, be Debbie Downer here, but I love the idea.
Why didn't you vote for it then?
Because I knew that we could not do it. What were we going to do? If we'd have voted for it, what would it have done?
Okay, but you're our representative.
I understand.
And so you could have voted for it and let us, as your constituents, know that you were for it. It wouldn't have made a difference, but except for in our eyes, because right now, I'm looking at you going, you voted against it.
I voted against it because I don't believe in making busy work for no reason. It would have put staff to spin their wheels and do absolutely nothing. So we can agree to disagree on that. So, yes, ma'am.
Would your vote have been, okay, if the city of Daytona Beach responds,
I'm glad you're asking this question.
yes, and
I know where you're
they're
going.
like, oh yes, great idea, can this come up for
And
discussion again?
absolutely can.
Okay.
Absolutely. Even though they voted no, by the way, even though the vote was no, not to bring it back up, we won't. But we said right at that very meeting, if you can get the city of Daytona and those property owners, by the way, because it has to be 100%. It has to be 100%. So if you can get those property owners to include Daytona Beach and the state legislation and the Senate, hey Matt, we have them all. I'll bring the matter up myself. I'll make the motion.
Can you give us a list of those property owners?
I don't have them right on me, but yeah.
I'm driving on the beach gone down anyways. Like, I walk the beach every day. I'm a runner at the beach. And I have not seen the beach full of cars for a very long time. And sand was thick.
Yeah.
Tide was coming in. And then a friend of mine said the cars are not made, like my car can't go on the beach anymore. My mechanic said, don't take that car on the beach. It's got too much electronics.
I rode with VCSO probably about 2 months ago, and more. What is it? I'm trying to think of the name of the towing company, Santo or something like that, that has the contract with the county to be able to go out there and pull those vehicles out. They are so busy pulling vehicles out, it's unreal. We have pulled it, but a lot of things can be contributed to that. We did the beach renourishment project. That put in a lot of sand. You know that sand that was replaced with that, when it was there, it didn't happen overnight. So
We didn't get it yet.
No, I'm saying like some of the areas down south of us and where the beach renourishment project started for Ponce Inlet into the shores. The areas of the shores that does have beach driving, more of them are getting pulled out because of that. But the sand itself we don't have the shoreline that we used to have back in the 80s. We really don't. I can honestly say that because I was here. And the cars that you have are a lot different. The trucks that everybody drive.
Yeah, they went in the water.
So the way vehicles are made, we can get into that argument too. The way vehicles were made before in comparison to the way they are now are a lot different. I didn't realize that my truck was aluminum. I went to go put a magnet on when I was campaigning and the magnet fell to the ground and I said, okay, I had to use her car. I said, I have good news and bad news. Good news is the magnets work on your car. The bad news is you lost your car. So.
I
But
think that's the biggest issue, is it gonna be feasible?
I would like to think
Future
hopefully at some point, I really would. I really would. Yes, John?
You left out one, the red sand, it's coming down, and there are certain times of the year that we already have it, and it's very soft. You left out also, there are 2 hotels that are planning to build, and if we put driving back on the beach, they will not build.
They did, and I didn't, if you noticed, I didn't make that argument because to me personally, I like the idea of the beach driving. You know, I didn't, that wasn't my contention. My contention was also the picture I showed, the picture I put up on the screen. You don't have the frickin' clearance underneath the Main Street Pier like you did. There's only 10'4". Now that seems like a lot, and a lot of vehicles will fit under 10'4". But there are a lot of trucks, because you just hit it with the beach sand that they're driving the trucks that are so high, they'll never make it. They'll wind up tearing up the pier. They won't do it. So that is part of that access way that we're talking about. So anyways, but I could go on and on about that, but I did want to hit on that topic. Some other things that I wanted to hit on, good news. The Transform 386 project, you know, we got hit with those storms. I don't like to use the H word anymore. I don't want to, thank God we didn't get attacked by one this year. And again, it's not I know this, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. But when we got hit with the first 2 storms, the federal government through HUD supplied us with money. We gave it a name called Transform 386, meaning the area code of this area. And the idea, it seemed like it moved slow. Those of you that have watched it, it seemed like it was moving just so slow. You know, you have to do studies. I never really understood the concept of a study until I saw how long it absolutely takes. It's unreal. But to define and to give everything that HUD requires, the studies were necessary. We had no choice in that. We had to do that. In the interim, Milton came, and we got even more money. So we wound up with about 460 million, I think. Now you're starting to see the projects come to fruition. So a couple of them that were related to Daytona, I think we did 6 projects we approved. These are all in the incorporated areas, not unincorporated Volusia. We can do that on our own. We didn't have to really have much say in approving that. But we did 6 projects, I think, in South Daytona, 4 of them in Port Orange. Many of the ones that the city of Daytona applied for were related to lift stations, which, as you know, when flooding occurs in certain areas, those lift stations are essential for pumping that water out of those areas and into retention areas that can handle it. Lift station on Wilson Street, Parkway Street, Madison Avenue, North Beach Street, and one additional location within the city's utility network, but it was kind of vague as where they said that. And there's more on the way, from my understanding. So each meeting that you watch, you'll see more and more of these projects being approved. I made a comment at the last meeting saying, this is the exciting time. This is the good time that you're starting to see these projects get approved. We're starting to see some. Next thing is the construction. You know, when you start actually seeing dirts and shovels in the ground, as I say, even though it doesn't really require, lift stations don't require that, but that phrase, shovels in the ground, and those projects are underway. Those are exciting. Another thing that, a project, I love, where is Monica at? Oh, there she is, hey. So, I think that we have a really good relationship with the city of Daytona. Probably better than what we've had in years past. I have a good relationship with now my commissioner, Monica Paris, who is my commissioner in my area, as I do with Stacy and several others. So when I first got elected, it seems like a little thing. How many of you travel Bevel Road to come into the city? Pretty much everybody. You notice how dark it is? And how many accidents occur on that as a result of that? So my wife and I were talking when I first ran. I said, you know, I know it's low-hanging fruit, it seems like. But I'd love to be able to, I don't know how this works. So how do we get more lighting there? Well, it's an FPL, it's an FDOT thing now that I've learned. So I remember running into Jonathan Tyler, who's the secretary for this entire district for FDOT. And I brought the idea up to him. And he said, he took it, shook his head, and moved on. Saw him again at another event, brought it up again. I know the squeaky wheel concept was used just a few minutes ago. And I brought it up and he said, Matt, it's just probably never gonna happen. We're talking the millions of dollars that it takes, you know, just to put a traffic light up. I think it was $1 million to do every single traffic light. can you imagine how many for street lights that are now with concrete poles because they have to be, especially in a main thoroughfare? It's just too expensive. It's not gonna happen. Well, then Stacy did the same thing. She was attacking it from a different angle. So we kept on and on, kept being told no. We were at an event, coincidentally, Stacy and myself at the airport. Jonathan Tyler was a guest speaker. And he's in the middle of the airport and he sees us walking up and he literally just shook his head. And I said, you know, it was kind of a hold my beer moment. And I said, Stacy, come with me. I said, he's gonna tell us now. I said, yeah, we're gonna try it again. So we walked up to him and I said, you know what I want to talk about? And he goes, I'm glad I ran into you. I said, are you really? And he goes, I really am. He said, you wore us down. If you notice now, the poles are going in, literally today. So the lights are going in. More exciting news about that, it was only supposed to go to Clive Morris. He said, well, we're going to go all the way to Nova Road. Well, if you notice on the other side of Nova already has lights. So the entire stretch of Bevel Road will now be lit, which is, you have the sidewalk, thanks to the city of Daytona. Great job, because that is a beautiful sidewalk. And initially we were going to be told if any lighting was going to occur, it was going to be sidewalk lighting. I was like, well, that doesn't help me while I'm driving down, or those of us that can't see at night when we drive. So anyway, so that was good news. That's small, low-hanging fruit, but it is good low-hanging fruit. Another project that I'm extremely, extremely excited about. I'm going to hit on this, right?
Well, if you don't, I will.
Okay, good. So I worked, those of you that don't know, my career prior to council was corrections. I started that career in 1986 at the old jail in DeLand as a CO1, and I retired 30 years later in 2017 as the warden for the jail system here in Volusia County. And we oversaw, at that time when I retired, it was about 1,600 inmates. We have a capacity of 1,700. 1,600 inmates here in Volusia County, both non and sentence, and about 350 personnel, uniform and non. And I was also responsible for, with any large institution like that, you're responsible for keeping upkeep, making sure the inmate population is fed, taken care of, medical things, all those things are taken care of. Cleanliness, the whole 9 yards, safety. So we had a jail inspection process, and I was the head of that jail inspection process for the Central Florida region, which kind of expanded all the way down to Manatee County. And we inspected jails pretty much throughout the state. And I went down to Manatee County and I saw an operation there that I was just blown away. And they had an inmate farm. And in this inmate farm wasn't just horticulture, that was livestock. They had cattle, they raised their own cattle, they raised their own chickens, they egg-laying hens, the whole 9 yards. Matter of fact, it was a joke. The guy that was running it, the sergeant that was running it, wanted to start raising alligators. And I started laughing, and he just looked at what's so funny? He actually wanted to do it. So he wanted goats to take care of the maintenance. I mean, it was great. They had started with 200 egg-laying hens and a couple of hydroponic tower gardens that grow lettuce.
Where was this at again?
This is Manatee County. I think it's Bradenton area, that area. Yeah. So they expanded that to, like I mentioned, but they also wanted to get into training inmates how to do engine repair, how to paint vehicles. They built a paint booth and made it big enough for school buses. And they started helping out the school board. And the story that the guy told me, I don't want to waste your time, but it was exciting. It was kind of cool to watch. They made it so big for that purpose, but when the instructor got on the bus and he called a buddy of his down at Manatee Community College at the time that did upholstery work. And he said, we should do the seats and teach the inmates how to do this. They were doing everything. Engine repair, painting the bus, upholstery, the whole 9 yards. It evolved into the county vehicles, ambulances, fire trucks, all that. Then they started making uniforms in their sewing shop. They had a golf tournament, created a screen printing process, and created the golf balls with the screen print of the Manatee, County of Manatee on the logo. They were doing everything. A grist mill, you name it, I could go on and on. But what was exciting about this is they took an ambulance and the county said, listen, we cannot utilize this ambulance. If you want to work on the engine, teach the inmates how to do it, rock on. So they did this. And the guy called another buddy down at Manatee and he says, is an engineer, and he says, hey, I have an idea. We're working on the engine. We got this thing running tip-top shape. He goes, I got an idea and I wonder if you can help me. So he brought the guy down and they gutted the entire ambulance. And they were trying to find different ways to cut costs. You know, we're doing it in food, we're doing it in this, that, and the other. So he said, fuel is incredibly expensive. So they created a biofuel mechanism in the back of the ambulance. They gutted everything out. I kid you not, I did not believe it until I saw it and saw it work. And they drive it up to the kitchen, extract the grease from the vats, and utilize that for the fuel for the farm equipment. If that isn't self-sufficient, I don't know what is. If that isn't a cost saving to your taxpayers, I don't know what is.
Ingenious.
It is very ingenious. So I came back to Volusia and I said, hey, I'm excited. I got a plan for us. I'm a lowly warden, but I got a plan for us. The county council at that time said, nah, we got no interest in that. They really didn't. I'm gonna back the bus up over them. They didn't. They had no interest in it whatsoever. A lot of the senior staff above me had no interest in it. So I gave up. I didn't give up. So I continued to do it, and I continued to be that squeaky wheel. So this, when you hear about the inmate farm, we got a 7-0 vote. We have already started the construction on it. We're utilizing an old rec yard that we do not do. It's only about 2 acres, but it's something. And that will be our crop area for many different types of food. It will offset the food cost for what we're doing, what we're paying, because it initially last year it cost $111.95 per day per inmate to house here in Volusia County. We have reduced that this last year to $100.55, and I'll tell you why in a second. Things like what we're doing. So I said, this is a 30-year dream of mine coming to fruition. This is the exciting part. This is not low-hanging fruit. This is huge, especially when I refer back to the cost savings that I just said told you about. So I said, you know, while we get this farm underway, I don't want to sit on my hands. I want to create some other projects. So we partnered with Daytona State College, and we are doing we've actually started, it's been somewhat successful, a virtual welding program. When I was first called from Mike Nieto from Daytona State, and he said, you know, I have this welding program I want to introduce, maybe you can teach inmates how to weld, and I thought, whoa, inmates and welding. Right? Yeah. We don't want to do that. The shanks, the whole 9 yards. There's weapons, there's knives. He goes, no, it's all virtual. So we took a trip down to New Smyrna where they do it. He goes, the best thing about this is, Matt, you do not have to bring the inmates here.
Exactly.
He picks it up, rolls everything inside the box. He goes, it's virtually, it's not heavy at all. We can carry it. It's transferable. And that's what we're doing. So we're teaching the inmates how to weld. So, which is great news. Yes, it is. Thank you. So, again, didn't want to continue to sit on our hands. The welding program's working good. We said, you know why? The female inmates should be able to do that. So we started with the female inmates, the welding program. Does it give them a welding certificate to where they can get a job welding? No. What it does do is it puts them at the front of the line when they get out of jail and they go to Daytona State into their program. It allows them to get into their program first above everybody else. And there are so many, while we're doing this, we have our case managers, our counselors that are working with them on how to do applications for grants to be able to pay for it. So that's good. So we partnered with Daytona State again. It's all about partnerships. Where we are doing a program, they said, listen, we have 4 of these barber chairs that we're getting ready to get rid of. Would you like them? There's a duck's butt water tank. Absolutely, we want it. So we took them, and we partnered with a local barber out of Daytona who's doing it for free to come out because he was once an inmate and he wants to give back. So he is teaching the inmates how to cut hair, and we started a cosmetology program for the female inmates, and we do our first graduation next week for the females. So those are good programs.
Excellent.
So we want to continue. So we wanted to continue and keep working. So we are now doing a small engine repair out in one of our workshops. Yep. We have a concrete training program that we've started with the help of a local concrete company at no cost, by the way, to the taxpayers.
Is this, the prison or the jail?
This is the jail,
Okay.
county jail. We have in that rec yard that I referred to, there was a basketball court. We took the hoops out. We still had the concrete pad there. We took one of our forklifts that we use for doing when we do the sandbags, and they do the pallets and we load them up. We're teaching the inmates and certifying them on a forklift because there's a lot of warehouse employment here. So we're trying to make them employable, employment ready. FDOT has partnered with us and they're doing a flagger program, which I thought, a flagger program, no, just gotta wait. There is so much into that. The safety aspect of keeping everyone safe, not just them or the FDOT employees, but also us individuals that are driving on the road. So we started that. We have a landscape maintenance program. We have a cooking food service program where there's a certificate that they actually get. It's called, I have it, Serve Safe.
Safe serve.
Yeah, Safe Serve, Serve Safe, okay. One of those. So we are certifying them and doing the cooking. We are talking right now with Daytona State to see if we can get some more culinary in there. Here lies the problem with that, because it is a county jail. These are inmates that are under a year if they're sentenced. So many times the average day of a county jail inmate is 45 days. Yes, you do get longer ones. So a lot of these programs we're trying to gear and design to follow the inmates that are sentenced to what we call an 1129, a year sentence. We at the county don't give as much gain time as the state does because they are shorter sentences. We have a plan, which we should be starting next month, for an inmate sewing program. I want them to be able to sew their own uniforms. We started with Daytona talks about a warehouse management program because of the warehouse industry that we have, an irrigation program to lay in sprinkler systems and to go with the lawn maintenance and stuff that we have. And the last program, I approached Joe DeMore, who's our new corrections director, and God bless him, I said at a meeting today, he must see me come in and just roll his eyes like Jonathan Tyler. Because I've always got a new program, and I don't want to overwhelm them, but I'm very excited about trying to get these programs going because recidivism rate is huge anywhere in the country. And I just referred to what the cost is per inmate, and it's because we're doing programs like this, and we're doing other things like away from the job training, the GED program that we have. We're actually, for years, the GED program was more focused to what juveniles that we have. We don't have many because they have to be transferred to adult court. But it was only those juveniles that were getting their GED. Now we have adults that are involved in the program. We just did one of the male graduations. What made it exciting for his is not only did he get his GED, but he was part of the barbering program, had enrolled into the welding program, and he was working in the kitchen. Talk about idle hands, he had none. So that was, yes it is. We have a domestic violence counseling, we have a drug and addiction counseling, AA, NA, SMA, great relationship that we have with them. Life skills 1 and 2, helping them with resumes. We started what we're doing, the 5th one on December 11th, which is a inmate job fair. Now this started out that we had a small room and we had 1 or 2 businesses, mom and pop, that was in there. We thought, I wonder if this could take off. And that was a partnership again with the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. And it has blown up. We are now utilizing an empty dorm. We're fortunate enough to do that because I said in the very beginning that back when I retired, we had 1,600 inmates. Programs like this and keeping them employed in the hopes of reducing that recidivism, our population is at 1,200 today. So that's huge. That's the rest of the cost savings. So, but it hurts you at the same time because now we don't have the inmates for the programs. So, or the farm and stuff. I don't know, but we have cities that want to reach out and go back to the old work crews. I said, I have no inmates to do that for. We are doing OSHA certification, RAP. We have a big program. Those of you that know what that is, the Wellness Recovery Action Plan for both men and women. One of the things about the job fair part, I'm gonna get back to that. We're utilizing a dormitory. We're doing one on December 11th, but we have some bigger, I said the mom and pop places that were there. Ramp, a chef kitchen, food service, Walmart, Coca-Cola, Boston Whaler, a roofing company, Site One Landscaping, Peanuts Paving, the United States Army. I didn't think they would get involved, but I guess they need people. So the military is now involved. So the most exciting thing about this that Joe DeMore shared with me today, remember I told you I went to Manatee County and brought this dream back 30 years ago. I hope it doesn't take 30 years to get it to where I want it to, where my vision is that I see it going. But now Joe DeMore said he's getting phone calls from smaller jails how do we get started doing it? That's all it takes, you know, and I think that's pretty cool that we're going to be, where Manatee was the model for us, we can now be the model for some of the other jails. Why recreate the wheel? So I think that was huge. But when we first started, you learn. You learn as you go. We make mistakes and we learn. And when we first did the very first job fair, I think the inmates just want to get out of the cell. Matter of fact, I know they did. They had no interest in getting a job. That's why I was questioning whether or not we'd have any success with this program. But we kept at it, and we did some modification, and what we did is we created, we brought these counselors in and taught these inmates how to create a resume and talk to them about interview skills and how to fill out an application. Many of them that lacked the GED part, we got them right away into the GED program because education is important, at least have that. So when we did that, the last one we did, every single one, and we have 49 inmates that are coming to this one with, I mentioned some of them, but we actually have 30 employers from around the county that'll be there. Hopefully they all show up. But when we first did this, we had 30 inmates. You know, so now we have 49 that are interested. Not only are they interested and more serious about it, but they're all walking in with folders that have their resume. So they're coming in and it's a serious conversation with these individuals. God bless you. They're not gonna have probably jobs, but we're only addressing inmates that are due to get out within 20 to 30 days.
Okay.
So that makes more sense. You shouldn't put somebody in front of an employer and say, you know, well, I get 6 months, you got a job for them? No, it's not gonna happen. But within 20 or 30 days is reasonable. So we are starting to do some follow-up with that now, within the last year. And we're starting to see, I would think, I was hoping that we'd get 2 or 3, but it's like 5, 10, 15 people that are actually gainfully employed still to this day that have not returned to jail since they did that. So that's good news. So more programs like that need to happen. You know, we're not perfect. We're not perfect in any way. I'm not perfect, no way. My wife will tell you that. She'll share. Well, matter of fact, don't even ask my wife. Let's not do that. Let's end on a high note. But yes.
Okay, so.
I just meant in my speech, I'm sorry. I knew
What?
that.
I'm sorry, what?
I just said in my speech there.
Oh, okay. So I really have always appreciated all your efforts on behalf, because it really does, that affects our quality of life.
It does.
I am hoping that you will bring the same squeaky wheel, persistent passion.
For your trolley.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You know what? We will continue to try, absolutely.
Because they're talking about building more parking garages, and every parking garage that they want to build takes space away from retail and business, and it takes a huge amount of money. It was $15,000 a parking space. It's probably up to 20. So if you build, 1,000 parking spaces, you could fund that trolley. And I understand you made that really good point that one time when you spoke to me about not having it be free, and I understand that. But it is time for us, when we talk about revitalizing Main Street and the core tourist area, that has got to be part of the conversation. So
I still like when you say trolley. I like the old, remember the old trolley that we had? It wasn't an enclosed vehicle, it was open. I mean, that to me would be a discounted rate if that's what they wanted to do. It could be, I don't care who runs it. I do like the idea, I really do.
But I think Votran running it gives you the economy of scale, because they have the drivers and the route.
Yeah, they're not gonna compete with themselves. Or, I mean,
But
they'll
they
compete
should-
with themselves. They're not gonna compete with, when I say themselves, like another branch of public transportation through the county. They
No,
don't wanna
but-
compete with another agency is what I'm trying to
No,
say.
but if they-
they're inclusive in it and they do it,
Right,
Yeah.
then you don't, and I understand wanting to keep the old timey looking trolleys, but if
I
you
don't know, I
even
just
use
like
no, they're very cool, but if you
Take
use the bus chassis that they already have and wrap them or did something to them to the outside so that mechanically
instead of
they're all
selling
the
off
same.
the old buses.
Well, anything, I just,
But you don't have to keep that many of them either. You're only talking
you
about.
only need 4.
Well, and when we first started talking about this, and the idea was about another parking garage, because they're gonna have to do one.
Yeah.
Over at the airport. You're gonna have to do one at the airport, by the way, so there's 2. One over, that it's just gonna have to happen. We only have so much space, and unfortunately, FAA requires us to have sufficient parking. Now that we're bringing in more and more flights, we just started the New York flight with JetBlue, and we have a goal of bringing in more. I think that's great for our economy. It's great for our tourism industry. And, you know, I, again, chair of the TDC board, we're all in favor of doing that. But you have to have sufficient parking. We're running out of parking at our current airport. So we're gonna have to build one there. But there was talk about the property that we own on Main Street. I asked that question. I said, are we already starting that conversation during the meeting? I said, with the city of Daytona on a partnership for that parking lot. And they said yes. And then the conversation steered to somebody else bringing up in that area about another parking garage. And that, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, could you take that money and then at least do a trolley for A1A?
An A1A with the loop to Beach Street.
Yeah, well, start somewhere and then we can build, you know. Well, maybe you should ask for more. Ask for more, and if you don't get as much, you know.
No, I should ask for exactly what I think will make the most money. Because I think, you know, like I said, man, you brought back, you were so excited what we saw in that county, man, it was, I forget which county it is now. They're doing it, and they move 500,000 people a year.
No, they do.
If we moved 500,000 people a year, imagine how many businesses would be activated.
Imagine more people will come to the city of Daytona to visit.
Right,
And
so.
fewer car crashes, less drunk driving, less burden on the police.
Agreed?
So I'm hoping that you can be, not just try, but get as passionate about that.
All right.
And squeaky about that.
Fair enough.
And
Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't have to be free.
No, and I said that, it probably will never, I'm a
Especially if
realist
the
when it
fight
comes
is
to
not
that.
as hard because of the driving on, you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
okay, you're saying that every single person has to be 100% in order, this has to line up for this lineup, to this senator, this,
Yeah.
in order for us to get the pass to open up that beach access, but economically, you know, for those businesses and everything like that, okay, we hate that or whatever, but like you're saying, it might not even be logistical anyways, but if we could have some type of currency.
Okay, we can't go
moving-
there, but what about here?
Right, exactly, and that could be like a, you know, okay, we're not gonna do this, but we're gonna give them this phone, because we understand you do need to have movement in that area.
Understood.
And I think if you was gonna be done with paying, I think you probably could get 4 votes up there. It just needs somebody to bring it forward.
Okay.
And tell us how we can support you.
What was that
You know,
county
in
again that we
too,
did,
you know.
that we saw it at, that I showed you?
I'd have, oh, no, I showed
Or you showed me?
I wanna say, I don't remember, I can look
If
it
you
up on
do,
the
can you
website.
send it to me again?
I'll send it to you.
All right, send it to me again. Yes, sir. John, we have a 3-minute clock for you. It's not here, so you can't see it, but go ahead.
Can I see it right here? Alright, half penny sales tax.
Half penny sales tax, yep.
Alright, now, it was 44 million we would raise when it started, like 5 years ago. It's up to 68 million on the half penny sales tax. We are the second lowest of the 67 counties on our sales tax.
I said, you know, if you ever did that, when they tried to bring that up, when was that?
I don't know, it got shot down, you'll never get reelected, I wouldn't vote for you.
Okay.
Thank you for your honesty, your I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, I can.
Yeah, he's running for county chair.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know about the chair. Well,
Yeah, you
I don't know.
Remember,
No, what in let
over a 20-year period, you're talking about almost $500 million donated
we
by our
saw it
voters.
work in Seminole County. They did it specific to the roads, and they put up signs that say, "Look what your tax dollars." My wife and I saw that down there. Different tax bracket down there.
Flooding is a
Yeah,
big
flooding.
issue.
Yeah, if you did it for infrastructure.
Government's
Well,
not gonna give us all the money.
no, and what you were saying about the election thing, I'll get on that real quick. So in 2022, they did the census, and as a result of the census, they made everybody run again. All of county council. I was on county council then. Billy Wheeler, 2 years prior in 2020, had just won her last term. You only get 2 4-year terms. So she said in 2022, I'm not running for 2 years when I term out in 2 years. I'm not going to do it. So she opted not to run during that special election. That's the first term I served was 2 years. In 2024, I ran, and I can do another one in 2028 or for a different position. So that's why. So I was confused with that at first. I thought, man, I only get 6 years, but to try to get some of these projects underway, and 2-year terms are hard for the right reasons. For the right reasons. I don't know how anybody feels about, and I don't want to get off topic and take too much of the time, but US Congress every 2 years. If you have somebody really good, of course, I'm still waiting. If you have somebody really good that is up there that really legitimately has a great idea and wants to get certain projects going through, that person, he or she wins and literally has to go file to run again in 2 years because it's that your area of voting is so big, they have to focus on campaigning. When do they get to really focus on any projects? And we wonder why nothing gets done. But then, you know, you do have the people up there that just like to get the paycheck and fly to DC, and I have no ambitions at DC. None. I was born in DC. Know what it's like. Not from that aspect, but I have no desire for that. I love local government. So again, we all make mistakes. We try to do better. I myself will try to do better because there's things I've done. You know, I'll be the first to admit it. So one thing that you will not see from me is, I know everybody's witnessed it. When you look at council meetings or commission meetings like we've all saw in some cities, I'll leave nameless, not Daytona, but all over, and they get excited, and you know, that's not who you voted for. I will always, this is me. You've never seen me get that excited, and prayerfully you never will.
Except about a trolley.
All right, that's excited in a good way though. I'm talking about argumentative.
Agitated.
Yes, ma'am.
He's talking about the warden hat.
Yes,
The
there.
warden hat comes
Oh,
on.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's ever seen the warden hat come on.
No. Well, some people have.
Well.
Not there.
Not up there.
I'm hoping this is an easier one. For us, we have 727 Lenox Avenue, which was its Bay Shore or the Hard Rock where it was supposed to go in 2014.
Yeah.
We have public beach access, like a right of way. They traded our good access.
They did. Lenox Avenue was
Yeah.
supposed to go to
They
that.
traded that and they gave us a path.
Uh-huh.
And most of my neighbors actually didn't really know about it until the south end washed out in the storm.
Is that the one that has the condo or something next to it that's being redone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one
That
on
was
the
in
north
Lenox. I'm
end.
gonna tell you about that.
Okay.
So somebody had actually, there's quite a few people have reached out to me about that. What are they doing with that, you know? Why is it gonna be that way? So,
Well, it's
here's about that rant. True. So there are a group of individuals from either Ukraine or Russia that bought that building, and they came in, the one we're talking about, and
Harbor Beach.
or whatever it is, I don't even know the name of it, to be honest.
the
Is it
next
Harbor
door
Beach?
neighbor to our path.
So that ramp itself, they said, we're gonna take care of the ramp. So we let them. Well, they never did. And if you notice, they never did the anything to the building, really. So we asked them, and they said, well, no, that's your responsibility. Well, then they started balking because we were gonna come in and start doing the redo of it, and we were gonna include bathrooms. Well, a lot of the citizens didn't want that because of the element that sometimes it attracts.
Wait, are we talking about the
Maybe
dog park?
No,
we're
we're
about
talking
beach access,
the beach
right?
access. We're actually gonna
Is
put
that
public
was-
bathrooms right there.
That was part of 727.
Yes. So
Okay.
we were talking about doing that. Well,
The Canadian company, okay.
is it a Canadian?
Yeah,
Okay, I call them Russians, but okay.
They might be Russian.
It might be Russian by now, honestly. So, there's no affection for them.
Okay.
So I'm just,
I just-
but anyways, so they never did hold their end of the bargain contractually. So when I talked to Mike Dyer, our county attorney, probably about 3 weeks ago about this very issue, we are going to actually, instead of taking it to court and waiting that long, we're gonna probably, you'll probably see it on a very near agenda, where we'll do the fix. We're gonna come in and do it against what that contract said, and then we're gonna put a lien on their property.
Okay.
So that is the plan, and I told him I will be in favor of that plan 100%. I said, so you mean taking the Russians to court? That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a plan. Unfortunately, I said, because it has sat that way for way too long, way too long.
Well, they got us to agree to a change in, like the zoning change.
The zoning change,
So
yeah.
they had applied for the
Yep.
permit, and as soon as they got that, they canceled it and said, oh, it's gonna become part of the seawall instead. And
Gotcha.
the seawall is,
The seawall,
it's just
yeah.
not,
It's not,
I don't know
yeah.
what's happening. They asked
So-
for a 90-day extension.
We're gonna do, from what I understood, it'll bring it back to council, because it'll be a costly one, it's not something George can sign off on. So we'll have to do the expenditure, and then we're just gonna put a lien on the property, and Unfortunately, they may wait it out, but you know, a company like that, they wanna sell it, and they can't sell it with the lien on it, so.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for anyways.
Okay, cool. So I'll just keep my eye on it.
Yes.
'Cause I don't wanna lose access to it because as
No.
a community, we failed to communicate that it is important.
Understood, and we'll keep following up on that,
Thank
all
you.
that's good.
What
Yeah,
do you mean by wait it out? Does a lien go away?
well, like for a code enforcement lien, after 20 years, it goes away. After 20 years, it's forgiven and goes
They
away.
can renew it once.
Yeah, they can renew it once. Yes, ma'am.
You were talking about the difficulty with having public restrooms. I wonder if,
I don't, okay.
or it was.
Yeah, no, it was.
as part
They,
of that, yeah,
well,
yeah.
the citizens were asked,
Right,
some of
right.
the citizens were asked, and I guess
So,
they balked
I
on it.
have
That
had
was
this
before
idea
my
for a
time.
while. I wonder if it'd be feasible to have public restrooms in the core tourist area that are 24/7 with an attendant. I wonder if the math would work out compared with cleaning up all of the stuff that gets done outdoors anyway, even though there's no restroom, you know what I mean? So maybe it'd be feasible to have, and it'd be a job, it would be a year.
Depending on where it would lay, whether or not it'd be, you know, because the beach is under our purview. We don't own the beach, by the way.
Right.
But the beach is under our responsibility, our purview, and anything on the hard top is the city of Daytona.
So,
Yeah, I know a really cool city commissioner. Maybe we can talk to her.
maybe, maybe.
Maybe, are you guys gonna do anything with parking lot C, like on Main Street? That's the one that fronts Main Street.
That's the one
It
I think we were
needs
just talking
resur-
about.
It just needs resurfacing and
Well,
striping, and it should.
It
be-
does.
And I know that you wanna build a parking garage somewhere else, but
Eh.
can we just please do something with that?
That is part of the conversation with the city of Daytona, whether or not, what, and I don't know what that plan is yet, as far as, and that may be incorporated into, how do we do that? Who's gonna maintain it? Is it gonna be free, are we gonna charge, I don't know what we're gonna do with that, so that is a plan, hopefully we'll see in the next few meetings. Now, the first meeting in January, we only have one December because of the holidays, the first meeting in January, unfortunately, you can't really expect a whole lot to happen.
Right.
So that means the second meeting in January, which is a nighttime meeting, is gonna be really long, because everything's gonna get, the reason for the first meeting in January also, by the way, is on a Thursday. It's a Thursday morning, and that's by charter, and it was never been changed, maybe that's one of the charter issues they should change, but it's a weird time, I don't know why it was, because the meetings used to be on Thursday, years ago.
Yeah.
Years ago, back in the ed days when they were, but anyways, that's an organizational meeting where, I'll probably lose my hat for vice chair and it'll go to somebody else and they'll make committee assignments and all that good stuff. So, but the second meeting we should, as I hear more. But you watch that on a regular basis as far as what comes up on the agenda, correct?
Me?
Yeah,
I'm paying attention to the county.
not at all.
No, because I care about, I care what goes on with the county, but not, I
was
have,
gonna say.
I have a limited bandwidth, and I focus on
So you,
Daytona Beach.
so what you're gonna do is look at our agenda
That gives you
and
enough
scan for the
content
word
right
trolley, right? I said you'll look at our agenda in the future and
If
scan for the
somebody
word
told
trolley.
me, John Nicholson would tell me if trolley was on. the
Oh, John
agenda.
is your resource,
No,
okay.
cause he pays.
3-minute
attention.
John.
You know. I would come and speak at that meeting,
All right, good. I need that support then. I will need it.
but I think you've got support up there already, if it's paid for,
Yeah,
I think that you could,
I can think of a couple that would be a
I
good fit, but
but I can think of a couple that'll be for it,
it's amazing what you get to know when you're up there with
yeah.
some of them. So. And as that's part of that learning curve that I was talking about. So. But thank you, everybody, very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes our meeting. We're not meeting next month, there's no meeting January 1st, so we're meeting February 5th. I'm hoping that our guest will be Cyrus from the airport. Yeah, to tell us about the airport, I'm looking for confirmation on that. And I hope everybody has a really great holiday season. It looks like there's at least 2 pizzas back there. If somebody wants to take home a whole pizza, that would be awesome. There's probably 1 cheese and 1 pepperoni. So if somebody can use a pizza, maybe people with teenagers at home could use a pizza. Otherwise, thank you all for coming out and thank you for being interested in your community. And please consider going to the workshop and the Beachside Redevelopment Board. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, and.
Good night.